Okay, good morning, 10 class student. Let us continue with our chapter that is Nationalism in India. Yesterday, I had told you all that we are going to start with Nationalism in India, that is the second chapter. Nationalism in Europe is already completed, Nationalism in India we have started. I had told you all that we begin our chapter since 1919 onwards. Whatever happened previous to that, you must have studied in your class 8th. Okay, we are going to pick up a story from 1919 onwards, and we had done over there that is the condition in our country, the new economic and political condition after 1919, emergence of a new leader with a novel method of fighting. Then we had done about Rowlatt Satyagraha, and then why non-cooperation. Now, 1921, January non-cooperation movement was launched in different parts of our country. Now, we are going to do 4 particular groups, how they reacted towards non-cooperation movement, NCM movement. Okay, the first group about which we are going to talk about is the movement in the towns and cities. Now, in the towns and cities, as soon as non-cooperation movement was launched, thousands of students, they left their schools as well as colleges. Okay, headmasters and teachers, everybody resigned. Lawyers gave up their legal practices. Councils elections, which was supposed to take place, it was also boycotted, except in Madras, where one party was there which was called as Justice Party, and this party was a party of non-Brahmins who thought that this is the right time to gain what power. So they were the one who participated in the council elections. Rest everywhere the council elections was boycotted. Okay, as far as the impact of non-cooperation movement was concerned on economic front, it was quite dramatic in the sense that foreign cloths was boycotted, foreign goods were boycotted, liquor shops were picketed, foreign cloth was bonfired, and import which used to come approximately 102 crores from Britain, it came down to 52 crores only. That is, it became almost half. And meanwhile, the sale of Indian textiles as well as Indian textile mills came up very fast. Okay, so this was being happening in all over the towns and cities. However, something unfortunate happened this time, and that was this, that khadi, which was supposed to be a hand spun cloth, which was being promoted by the non-cooperation movement. Okay, that was something which was quite expensive. Everybody could not afford to buy this khadi, which was handmade cloth. So people started buying the cheap mill made cloth back again. Secondly, when many of the people were leaving their jobs and were sitting at home, they required some alternative institutions where they could work and earn a living. But these alternative institutions were very slow to come up. So people all started trickling back to work. Okay, that is gradually what happened. People started going back to offices also, courts also, as well as schools also. This is all about non-cooperation movement in the towns and cities. The second group we are going to talk about is the countryside. Basically, children, countryside means the villages. When we are going to talk of villages, we have to talk about the peasants and farmers. Okay, and here we are going to touch upon one particular area, that is Awadh. The present day Lucknow was earlier called as Awadh. Non-cooperation movement spread to the countryside also. We are going to talk of Awadh. In Awadh, all the peasants, they were being led by one person, and his name was Baba Ramchandra. Baba Ramchandra had been to Fiji as an indentured labor. Indentured labor means a contractual labor who used to go on some kind of contract. After the contract was being done, then they return back. Actually, Fiji is an island near Australia which is known for sugarcane and so on. So many of the Indians, they used to go to work in Fiji. Some settled over there only, some came back. Baba Ramchandra, he organized the peasants into one group. Okay, now here the peasants' conditions are very bad. That is, they used to suffer at the hand of the oppressive landlords. The landlords used to charge them very high tenants rents. Okay, then they never used to have any tenancy rights also. On and off, they were evicted from their land. Secondly, they were supposed to do begari over there, that is bonded labor, without any income. So here the farmers, they wanted to abolish begari. they wanted security of tenancy, and they also wanted reduction in taxes as well as rents. So all of them, they organized themselves under Baba Ramchandra, and then they, just to just to outcast the oppressive landlords, they organized Nai Dhobi Bandh also. In this Nai Dhobi Bandh, the landlords were denied the services of barber as well as washermen also. Okay. Meanwhile, this was also the time that Jawaharlal Nehru also became quite active in politics. He was told to take the entire tour of the country, and he came to Awadh along with Baba Ramchandra. Jawaharlal Nehru and Baba Ramchand, both of them, in October 1920, they started the Awadh Kisan Sabha, and the motive of Congress as well as the effort of the Congress was this, that they wanted to integrate the Awadh movement into the wider movement, that was non-cooperation movement. However, this Awadh movement progressed in such a manner that Congress never approved of it. Okay, in the name of Mahatma Gandhi, people started saying that land will be redistributed and they can attack the houses of the taluksar as well as the zamidars, merchants also. They used to loot the grain which was being hoarded in their granaries, and they used to distribute them. And they also said that Gandhiji had declared that no taxes has to be paid and land has to be redistributed. So we can conclude in this line that the name of Mahatma was being used to sanction all kind of action as well as aspiration. In the name of Mahatma Gandhi, they could justify any of their act which was wrong, of which Congress never approved, because they were wanting what? They were wanting non-violent movement. Okay, and this was no non-violence. This was violence which was being involved. Okay, so this is how the movement unfolded in Awadh peasants and farmers. Okay, next we are going to talk about Andhra Pradesh. Okay, the tribal peasants in Andhra Pradesh, in Gudam Hills, we are going to talk of a particular place in Andhra Pradesh, that is Gudam Hills. Now, in the Gudam Hills in Andhra Pradesh, there were a number of tribal people who were living near the forest, and they used to depend completely for their survival on the forest, because they used to collect firewood, they used to collect fuel wood, they used to graze their cattle, fruits, etc. Whatever they could do, they could survive only on forest. Okay, since the forest rules and regulations was being passed, people were not allowed to enter the forest. And when this was being done, these tribals felt that their traditional right is denied to them. They got very much angered, and here they started practicing a tactic which was called as guerrilla movement. In this guerrilla movement, what happens is that people hide themselves and then they attack. Okay, and here the person who came to their rescue was a very interesting figure. His name was Alluri Sitaraman Raju. We are going to call him A.S. Raju. Now, A.S. Raju proclaimed that he possess a variety of supernatural powers, that is some kind of special powers. The thing was that he could make correct astrological predictions, first thing. Secondly, he could heal people. Thirdly, he could even survive bullet shots. And people in turn, they started considering him as an incarnation of God. On the other hand, A.S. Raju was highly impressed by Mahatma Gandhi and his methods, but he also believed that non-cooperation movement can never achieve anything without the use of force. So now, anyways, he led the movement, and then here people continuously practiced the guerrilla warfare tactics. Finally, Raju was captured, and he was executed in 1924. But then by that time he already became a folk hero. Is that clear? Okay. The last we are going to discuss is Swaraj in the plantations. When we are going to talk about Swaraj in the plantations, Then the plantations in the Assam, there were the tea plantations where people were being called from the villages to work over there. Once they entered into the plantation, they lived a very confined and enclosed life. They were not allowed to leave the plantation without the permission. When they heard, now this, they all had to sign one act which was called as Inland Emigration Act of 1859, and under this act they lived a very enclosed and confined life, just like captives. Okay, when they heard that non-cooperation movement is going to be is being launched by Mahatma Gandhi, they defied the authorities, and they thought that they are going to get land in their villages. Land is going to be redistributed to them, and they can easily go to their villages. This is the free time, they can go to the villages. Meanwhile, what happened was this, that is they defied the authorities and left the plantations. But unfortunately, on that day, on that particular day, there was strikes. There was strike of steamers also. There was strike of railways also. All of them were stranded without being getting any means to go to their villages. They were brutally beaten and brought back to the plantation to work. Okay. Police came over there and they caught them, beat them, and then they brought back to the plantation. Anyway, finally, when we talk about, say for example, conclusion, then we know that people in these, when we have studied these four groups, we can come to this conclusion that people interpreted the term Swaraj in their own different ways. Okay, some thought that it is the time that they are going to get land in their home. Some thought that they can enter into the forest. Some thought that all their sufferings and troubles is going to end. Okay, yet when everybody chanted Mahatma Gandhi's name and raised their slogan of Swatantra Bharat, they were emotionally getting connected to an all India agitation, to a movement which was spreading into all over the country, which was creating a kind of unity which was virtually impossible, which was virtually absent from a country. Okay, they all were linking their movement with a movement which was beyond their immediate locality. That is, in short, we all were getting united, which was a concept which was not there at all earlier. Okay, so this was being done. Now children, this is complete. This completes your part 2 of nationalism in India. So all of you, please read the part 2. That is, the topic is differing. The page number must have been changed. So I'm not saying the page number, I'm saying part 2, differing strands within the movement. You all have to read this entire chapter, differing strands within the movement. 4 topics we have covered: the movement in the towns and cities, rebellion in the countryside, then Andhra Pradesh is there, then Swaraj in the plantation is there. Now tomorrow onwards we are going to start with towards civil disobedience movement, which is the third part of the chapter. Okay, so what you all do is, children, you all don't read the third part, but you all read the first and the second part, so that you do not have any confusion. Is that clear? Okay, tomorrow we are going to start with the third part, and after that third part is going to take 2 days, and then we are going to complete within 3 days we are going to complete with this chapter, and then I'll be making you all mark the notes. Okay children, so please do this much of work, so that whenever we have any kind of doubt classes, you all can ask me any kind of doubt which you have. Is that clear? Okay, so please read once again part 1 and part 2 of second chapter, Nationalism in India. Is that clear? Okay.